Welcome, everybody. You are in the right location. Normally, I have a co-host. They're just kind of finishing, getting ready, putting the finishing touches on, the eyebrows and the facial hair. Got to get that all correct. But to begin, my name is Dancy Bearded. I am the co-host of this amazing show, which is known as the Doctor's Orders on the Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff YouTube channel. If you guys are watching and you're in the chat, go ahead and drop a comment so we can see who's in here. Jill says, happy Tuesday, everybody. Driving to the airport, so just listening in. We love when people listen podcast style. We love when people come back afterward and catch the replay. Any which way you guys are consuming this content, if you could just leave a thumbs up to show you appreciate what we do here. And if you want to leave a comment, that's above and beyond. And of course, the ultimate gold standard bonus yellow gold star ticket award of the day. If you share this out, bring some new friends, maybe it'll uplift their day. Who knows? Now, I create content. I love working with this company. My job is to get the word out about them with this show, show you guys what's going on, and to be able to say some things about the co-host that I'm about to bring in on things they wouldn't say about themselves. I promise you, every day they look younger, like they're aging like a fine wine. Their intelligence is absolutely insane. They could go and code something that you couldn't even imagine right now. They are so beyond positive. My kids love them. Love this person. Genuinely talk about him all the time as if it's family and or a best friend. They would go and help you. They're active in this community. An amazing, amazing human. If you guys could help me welcome our co-host today with a huge round of applause. Please welcome Mr. Jack in the building. Jack, how you doing, man?
Doing good.
Awesome. Now, all right, we got to address the elephant in the room here. What was your beard morning routine this morning? What we got going on for the facial hair?
Oh, well, first I put on some number 9 beard oil.
Ooh, that lavender. I like that. Okay.
And then I did a little brush after I took it out of the bun.
Oh, wow. You bunned it up last night?
Yep.
Okay.
Brush it a little bit and make it look super nice, and then I just hopped on the stream.
I love it, man. And thank you for joining us. If anybody is unfamiliar, this is the doctor's son. This is Jack himself. This is the legend that spent a week at MIT learning about all this crazy kind of stuff. Jack, what else should people know about you? What are some of your hobbies? What are some of your interests? And then even if you want to share a little bit of anything you do with Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff, because I know you dabble and get involved from time to time in this truly family owned and operated company. So let us know some things about you and then how you get involved with Dr. Nick's.
Thank you for asking that, Dan. So I usually like working on computers. I like gaming a lot. I also really like dirt biking, going to the skate park, riding my scooter there. And how I help out around Dr. Nick's is I just, I float around sometimes when I'm at the office and help out with like simple tasks like getting the shipping labels from the printer, doing all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, almost every minute that I'm at the office, I'm learning about how things are going on there.
Dude, what an answer. Quote that right now, you guys. Clip that. He just said, almost every moment I'm at the office, I'm learning about how things are going there. So I see that entrepreneurial spirit in you. I can see you being a massive business owner one day. But above all, one thing I know about you, and I'm not just saying this, I'm not trying to blow smoke or make anybody feel special. I know you're going to impact lives in a positive way. You just have that aura about you. And for anybody that doesn't know, we were able to visit and meet Jack last year. My boys are younger than him. He welcomed them with open arms. They came away raving about him and how fun it was and how he showed them around the lab and the facility. And yeah, man, Jack of all trades right there. And we do have a little special guest right here. Jack, if we have a good afternoon, everyone, from
Grandma.
So shout out to Julie, shout out to Grandma. And then, yeah, last thing before we probably bring in our other co-host, you guys will see on that one. But our buddy Tyler says, hello, Jack, tell us about your 3D printing camp. I'm thinking about getting into 3D printing himself.
Ooh, nice. I definitely do recommend getting into 3D printing. It's one of the most fun things ever. One thing about it is that it's pretty time consuming, so like it's definitely meant to be multitasked. And the first thing I've ever 3D printed was actually like a default Blender monkey, but like I used a sculpt tool on Blender where I can basically like move the things around. So I made the monkey have different expressions. And if
Cool.
any of you guys don't know what Blender is, it's basically like a 3D modeling software. So like Pixar uses it, professional 3D printer people use it. And if you go into 3D printing, out of any of the 3D modeling softwares, geez, I don't actually know of any other ones, but I would definitely recommend to you just using Blender because it's one of the best ones I've ever used.
Yeah, I heard it's
One of
kind
the
of
only
the
ones.
industry standard and what the professionals are using. And hey, you got a little shout out here from Dennis. He says, "What up, Jack?
What's up, Dennis?
How cool is that?" And then Robert wants to know do you know what kind of 3D printer you got?
So there I had a voxel 3D printer that took PLA filament and ABS filament, and it's about like, I gotta say, like this wide, this tall.
Good size. Really good size.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And I do have to tell you, you got my kit after we left our trip to visit you guys. You cost me some money, young man. When we got back, my boys demanded 3D printer pens. And so we have those like pens with the little like, the filament that goes into it. And they've made like Pokemon balls. They made all sorts of stuff. And they're getting kind of decent. We haven't done it in a little bit, but they're getting kind of decent with it. And they have you to thank for that. And I was being joking. They love it. It's really cool. So thanks for getting them started on the 3D printing kind of like intro.
Oh yeah. The 3D printing pens are actually like kind of basically like being like you make yourself a 3D printer.
That's cool. It is really cool. And Robert says, tell your dad you want a bamboo lap. All right, must be like a really nice kind of printer.
All right.
Labs. Yeah, okay.
People
Labs.
spending my money over there.
Hey, that's Robert. That's Robert. It's not me. It's not me. Jack, we need to get you an interview on the news. You are so well spoken, your composure, your delivery. I could see you going viral on the internet by talking about something like 3D printing and talking about MIT. Dude, you're a wonderful young man, and make sure you have the best year ever this year and just entirely be yourself because you're destined for great things, dude.
Thank you so much, Dan. That just made my day.
Good. All right, man. I hate to do it, but let's go ahead and get the other co-host back into the show here. And thank you, Jack, man. Have an awesome day and enjoy this last little bit of summer.
You too, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Have a good one.
Amazing. Oh, what? Now I got to work?
Right.
I was going to leave you in front of the computer the rest of the day. You were going to take my meetings later, and this was going well.
It's like being a comedian who's up last, and then you just got to follow a killer, just someone who just slayed the whole crowd. You're like, all right, guess I got to follow that one.
Yeah, fade to black is what the screen can do right now.
Right.
He just mic dropped on his way out.
Literally. And you guys, just so you know, that whole planning process took 2 minutes at 12:58 p.m. Eastern. That was an absolute literal last minute or two decision, and so cool. He walked up right before that, and we we thought that would be cool.
I literally went down to get a comb, I came back, and Jack was in my chair, and Dan's like, "Hey, we should just leave him there." And I was like, "Perfect, let's do it."
Yep. He's so well spoken, man. I know you got to be like immensely proud of this like budding young man that he is. That's literally like years beyond his age.
Every time, well, I mean, every time something like that happens, I'm like completely unscripted. You put him in front of a camera, in front of people, and all of a sudden he's just like, boom, ready to roll.
Right,
I'm
just
like,
a savant.
Like, man,
that's so cool. So cool.
I wish I was half that good when I was his age.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I don't want to think about that. But Nick, how are you doing, sir?
Well, chopped liver over here, doing pretty good. Hey, no big deal.
You're used to the fireworks and whistles, and then you got to follow that act.
Yeah, I know, right? No, things are good, man. Things are good. My friend Alicia is in the car with Jill right now on her way back down to Boston to jump on a plane back home to Florida. So she's been up here. I mentioned it on stream last week, I believe. She had just gotten in town Monday. Yeah, she came in last Monday. She was supposed to leave yesterday, but the weather Sunday, Monday. I mean, I don't actually need to explain. I can just say Southwest Airlines, and that's kind of the only explanation I think I need to give is basically she has a connection flight in Baltimore, and they compressed it down with a delayed flight out of Logan yesterday, where she would have had 20 minutes to get off one plane and across the airport with a dog and jump on another plane. So,
wow.
Push that to today, and we take off from my mom's place on Thursday. So it's just it's
nice.
So
I didn't know, man, that came up quick. Holy crap.
Yeah. So it's been an amazing week. We got to just kind of hang out and do our thing and catch up, do what we always do, which is just kind of pick up wherever it was that we left off, which is
good.
She's coming back up in October for Halloween, which is going to be awesome.
Good. Yeah, I don't know if we got to do the old switcheroo, but you are getting some pops on your screen.
You know what it is? I think I know what it is, actually. It's this camera that I use at home, and for some reason it's software that sets its exposure. Once in a while it'll get a little flashy. So I can stop if you just want to hit me into the green room real quick, and then I'll.
There we go. And I think Nick can hear me while I'm talking here. Donald says, I was working on using Silly Putty to copy comics, and he is 3D printing it on YouTube. I try to go back to being 12, right? And thinking about the age that I was back then and what I was doing, it's so different than the kids today. So dang different. Nick, give me a thumbs up once we're ready to roll. Okay, beautiful. But, I don't know if you saw Donald's comment here. Silly Putty to copy comics, and then Jack at that age is 3D printing on MIT's campus, and he is on YouTube talking to grown adults in such an eloquent way. Times have changed.
I mean, yeah, times have changed. Literally, that was it. I'm sitting there working on, a better magnifying glass way to burn things with the sun,
Yep. I was thinking about, it was so different, so different. I saw myself as such, even looking back now, as such a child, such a baby. And now they just grow up so much faster. I mean, my own son, Maddox, when you watch his soccer, the dude's soccer is elite level soccer. When I was playing sports back then, he's 9. I had no resemblance of sports when I was 9. And I think so many of us have that locked in our head. Then we go watch these kids and we're like, oh my gosh. Or you watch the world stage of soccer and you had this 15-year-old Lamine Yamal from Spain being the best player in the Euro Cup, which is the biggest soccer tournament of the year. And he dominated the whole tournament at 15 years old. It's different now.
Dude, seriously though. It's ridiculous. I think when I was a kid playing soccer, there was still some kids running around, chasing butterflies. There was a kid picking dandelions. Yeah. Someone else was laying down,
Yeah.
That was soccer when I was a kid.
Maddox is hitting 30-yard shots. Maddox is it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And nice. Reggie said he got his package from Dr. Nick's yesterday, and he's loving it so far.
Amazing.
So cool. Lunch break. I love this time slot so much because people get a little breather from lunch. And we got 32 people in here right now. Hold up. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for trusting us with your time. You guys can do anything else in the world. That means a lot to us, and especially during the day. That's a large number. So thank you guys for hanging. And Miles, you're the all-star, man. I love it. So, okay, so you're going to your mom's, right? This is the rescheduled trip. I think it's a shorter one this time, right? You're flying.
Yeah, because we were going to drive down. So there was going to be a day kind of in front and a day behind. Yeah. But no, we're shooting down Thursday, and we head back Monday. So not too long. Shelly, the master of all things shipping and receiving, is also going to be master of all things dog sitting while we're gone. So she's going to kind of bounce between our house and the office. Pretty sure she's just going to kind of stay here while we're gone. So she's going to house sit, dog sit, office sit sort of all at once. Wilson's obviously going to be there knocking stuff out with the shower products in and out while we're
Perfect.
gone. So business as usual. There's no delays in shipping, and everyone will be, business as usual as far as anyone can tell, I hope.
Perfect. And Jack is in the chat. This is the legendary, infamous Jack. In case anybody has 3D printing questions, he's there and available for you. Now, Southwest, did you see, I think it was last week actually, they had a pretty unique situation with what you're talking about. Two of them actually. One was fun. They overbooked a same flight that was reoccurring every day for a month. So it was from the middle of July to August. It was like right this last week. I think it was till August 15th.
So they sold the same flight for like a month?
Yeah, the same flight for a month and overbooked it every single one.
Woo.
So a girl who was single and was in Europe and had a flight home that she was waiting on, she kind of exploited the system. Not exactly exploited, but she took advantage of the system. They were offering $1,500 vouchers to not take your flight that day. She did it every single day at the point where I stopped following the content. It was at 2 weeks, and she was going to wait until she was at a certain number. At one point it was 10,000, and then she hit that, and then it was going to be 20,000, and she was stocking up all these vouchers. They covered her hotel. They brought her to a different hotel every night. She like made content out of it, so she made money off the content. All the hotel staff loved her. Every day she'd show up to the airport, and the like lounge people would be like, "Oh, she's here." And they would like celebrate, and they loved her. And she was into the 5 digits of voucher money, and she was just going to take it and travel the whole world for like a month because of their mess up on overbooking.
Holy crap. That's awesome.
Right?
Alicia, if you're listening, I mean, they had to push your flight. So, I mean, this could be the beginning of like a really cool snowball effect here, you know? You just gotta figure it out.
No, super cool. And then the other one, not as fun. There was a flight that had to get diverted, and the flight ended up going to the Bahamas. Okay, it ended up going to the Bahamas. It was supposed to go from Puerto Rico to Miami. Something happened, and it got diverted to another island, I believe in the Bahamas. Well, they landed, and it got to a point where the pilots reached their limit. They couldn't fly anymore.
Yep.
And that was a problem. People had to stay.
Time out.
Yep. They had a whole group of people that did not have passports, and they were flying in a different country, and now they were stranded there. And it got real serious because they weren't even allowed to go on the planes to get their luggage. And like one person was having a medical emergency, and they're like, "We need our medication. We're on here for 6 hours right now." They would not allow them to go on. The people couldn't leave this little section of the airport. They had actual like armed guards because they didn't have passports. And people were like arguing, "We're being held against our will. We are like essentially kidnapped. We didn't choose to come here. We're not choosing to stay here." And it ended up being this like really crazy situation. I'm like, wow. And we've used to do like cruises, you know, that would be like from Miami and then circle back, and you didn't need a passport.
Right, because that was land or sea.
Right. We always brought our passport.
Well, just in case you have to fly back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All those people there with their driver's licenses going to like places that are in the Bahamas or wherever, and like they're on a cruise ship. Like, what happens if there's all of a sudden a storm, and like everyone's like, "All right, well, you either got to stay here, confined to this little area that's technically not an international country because somehow we've made it a sovereign space inside of an airport."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I would much rather pull out my passport and buy an airplane ticket and fly home. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Nope. No doubt.
Like when they gave me my passport card, you know, they're like, "This only works with land and sea." So like, you know, you can only use on boat or, you know, crossing a border in a car. And I'm like, why the hell would I ever go into another country like with just that if I can't use it to fly back? Like
just in case.
It's essentially useless. Yeah. Like, okay, great. I'll keep it on me. But you know, it's like, you got to still have your passport, like the book, if you go somewhere.
Yep. And Leo's coming back to our previous topic and says, even with natural abilities, expectations and training matter. Absolutely. Look at track after Roger Bannister and other sports going back to elite performers a generation back. Yeah. The training, the expectation, the food, the nutrition understanding, the just everything that we do has developed. The Olympics just got done. So we always go back and compare things. And the fun thing was this Olympic team for the U.S., took all of our best players. They won the gold. Now, the world competition was phenomenal. I mean, you're talking about some of the best players in the world on other teams. And then the big debate, of course, is LeBron versus Jordan, the dream team versus this team. Who would win? If you ever want a good chuckle, just go back and watch any of the Olympic Games with the dream team and just look at what basketball was like back then. It's utterly hilarious. It's guys dribbling like this with one hand in little circles, and guys doing little shot put shots, and guys doing these things. Now we have the best way that I ever heard the comparison of Michael Jordan and LeBron James was Michael Jordan was a monster among men. A monster among men. He could do things nobody else could. LeBron right now is a monster among monsters. Like, everybody is a monster. And then how do you stand out? And it's just funny. It's just funny to see how far sports have progressed and just every year.
It's insane. I mean, the technology too, obviously has a lot to do with it. I mean, like the technology and the nutrition, you know what I mean? Like, just look at what people are able to do from like a human body composition standpoint compared to those dudes. Like, take someone who passed the NBA athletic intake fitness test in 2024 versus 1965. I mean, it's like, imagine one of those dudes showing up to one of those fitness tests, like someone from 2024 showing up to like the fitness test for like the NFL in like the 70s or something.
I know.
It'd be like an alien from another planet.
It cracks me up when people are like, LeBron couldn't go play in that physical era. You guys,
come on.
He is a physical freak. And then anything progresses, right? Coding now compared to when you started, because you started as a teenager as well.
In the late 80s, I started as a kid.
Yeah, it's got to be light years different now.
Oh, dude. I mean, it's like, it's not even the same thing. I mean, you're coding code that codes, you know what I mean? Like, you're not even just coding anymore. It's like, you're, the stuff that like we're doing in the cybersecurity software space. I mean, like, we just cracked the nut on something huge where, like, if you told me something like this was even possible when I was a kid or even a teenager, I wouldn't have believed you. It's like Star Trek level stuff. I mean, we're like predicting traffic patterns like 48 hours in advance for like big ass networks, and it's like, back then it's like, you could barely alert when something went sideways, much less know what something is going to do a day in advance.
Right.
And watching if it does it or not. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think it's a different world.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And Leo, kind of last touch on this topic, he says, with all those changes, I say we must still respect and honor the records of earlier times. Of course. I think it's actually detrimental to try and compare records of today, specific performances of today to back then, because you're only as good as your time. You're only as good as your situation. And I think an example most people can understand is Michael Phelps, maybe the most accomplished athlete of all time, and Mark Spitz. Mark Spitz was the greatest swimmer of all time until Michael Phelps. But if you look at it, Mark Spitz had a massive head of hair, a huge mustache, taco meat just dripping from the chest, and dude went out and swam. Michael Phelps has every single square centimeter of his body dialed in, from the suits to shaving to like, it's just a different world, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Mark Spitz dominated everyone in the world at just a pace that nobody could fathom. I just don't like comparing the generations, but I love respecting and honoring the old records in the earlier times. Without that, we wouldn't be anywhere where we are today.
Well, no, the bar constantly gets moved, but I mean, you can't ignore people that went over the bar back where, it was in a different position.
Yep.
That's with everything.
Yep. No doubt about it. Yeah. Yep. No doubt about it. And Tarzan, I do. Johnny was, swimming's an interesting one, because that, just like anything, it's developed so dang far.
It really has, man. Like, look at the training that you can get with swimming now versus like what you could get before. Like these crazy wave pools and the other stuff that these guys have now. You can swim in like additional gravity that you know what I mean? Like it's insane.
Yep. And speaking of great swimmers, Katie Ledecky, the greatest woman swimmer of all time from the U.S., she won a race this Olympics by like 20 seconds. It was the coolest clip ever. She finished put her arm on the side and was just literally waiting for 20 seconds for the rest of the greatest swimmers in the entire world to catch up to her to finish.
That's insane.
Yeah, I actually got to find a picture because it's to the point where nobody else was even in the pool.
It's not even fair.
No. And Michael Phelps said she was the reason he never did distance, because when he would practice with her and pace, he was like, I never once beat her. And I knew that there was no like future for me in distance.
Wow.
All right. I got to find this. Oh yeah. Here you go. Look at how ridiculous this image is. And again, please.
Is that the same as like an in zone dance though? Is she going to get like criticized for like showboating now or something?
No, I don't think so. Just because she just sat there. She didn't do anything else other than sit there. But look at this. This is her finish. Nobody else is on the screen. And normally swimming comes down to a 1/10 of a second, 100th of a second. There's nobody else on the screen here.
And she has to touch his shoe or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, just got to touch the wall. She's just simply waiting here.
That's insane. Like, where is everybody? Did I break it?
Yeah. And
did I forget to do a lap?
Right. The thing is, she swam 10 seconds faster than this in the last year.
Wow.
She didn't even care. Just crazy.
What the hell? Crazy. She's just like that much better.
Yep. Just, I guess every aspect of her life is dedicated to swimming. The food she eats is strictly fuel. It's measured out. She has analytics on her body all day, every day. Her training, her mental approach, it's all just dialed in. There's only a few people in the world that have that level of dedication. Gordon Ryan, who's the greatest jiu-jitsu master of all time, he's like that. There's a few. Magnus Carlsen with chess, he's kind of like that. It takes a special mind to be able to push yourself that far.
Special is a word. Yeah. I mean, there's that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I imagine there's people in those people's lives too that use different words to describe their level of dedication.
We'll say sacrifice. Yeah. Lots of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And quite perfectly a transition here. And I want to get your take on this, Nick, because I kind of proposed this last week, and it was after talking to a lot of people. And sometimes we have tough times, and it can be a good reminder. I saw earlier here in Funhouse, we're here for you, man. He says, finding your purpose after last week, I have none. That's what we're going to talk about. That's where we're going to talk about the power of purpose and finding it. And essentially, I want to talk about what finding your purpose can do for you, and then even how any of us found our purpose or are still finding our purpose, and just kind of want to give us a safe place to share and talk about this, because it does really matter. So when I pitched that to you, Nick, and then said, hey man, I want to talk about finding our purpose, we actually had a couple things that was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. What comes to mind for you? What's your take just on that topic? Just kind of spitballing here.
So, I mean, it's such a huge, it's a huge discussion.
It is.
We got 31 minutes and it's like, we need 31 of these to talk about it. Right. But I'd say like, there's two things, I guess, that kind of come to mind when you say it. And it's not as necessarily answers to that question. It's kind of like how my brain separates that question, I suppose.
Love it.
I think there's like the process of finding it is important, right? Process of finding your purpose. Sometimes you discover a different purpose, right? And I think the process of finding your purpose is probably paramount to even finding it, right? For example, like I do a lot of things. I'm not sure that I've actually figured out what my purpose is, or maybe it's something I already do and it ends up that's what it was, right? But I guess I'm one of those people where I'm kind of like always looking forward so much. I'm never really so much looking back as to, if I think I do actually. I think I look in to see, if I've found it and if I'm spending my time on the right things, I guess is like a constant thing that I'm asking myself, So far, I know there's a couple purposes that have landed like squarely in front of me, and I know that's what they are, right? It's like, I know my purpose was to be Jack's dad, was definitely one of my purposes in life, right? And sometimes those are the things where there's like these rooted purposes, I suppose, that you as a person find yourself in, and it's really evident that that's what you were supposed to be doing at the time that you're doing it. And
Very clear. Yep.
yeah, exactly. And it's like in the Big Lebowski, we were just watching it this weekend in the background while we were doing other stuff. And it's like he's talking about the dude, and he's like, oh, the dude. He's like, once in a while you come across a man that has just found his element in his place in his time, and there he is, And I don't think all of us are so lucky, right? It's not like it's something where we haven't all found like this groove or like this rhythm that we find ourselves in. But I think there's like, it's multifaceted, right? You have purposes for you as like a human, and I think there's purposes for like what you contribute to the world, right? As a human, right? And I think finding things that do feel like they are a purpose are super important, even if they're not like what you've always envisioned, right? Because there's two things I've learned kind of fairly recently, I guess, is that when things go sideways with the things that you're chasing in life, those purposes I feel like are like the deep paths that are like cut in your existence. You know what I mean? Like those are the things you fall back on, and you don't have to so much, every time there's a new avenue in your life, right? If that's the only thing you're chasing and you don't feel like you have like this overarching purpose along with it, when that goes away, like you're kind of lost at sea. You know what I mean? So I think it's important to find the things around you that like are full of purpose, that do create purpose. Because even while you're looking for what that ultimate feeling like you've found it is, one, you might not ever find that, right? And I think even if you do, if all you're focused on is that, the other things that you could have kind of picked up along the way that you've ignored, I think are things that could be really important.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, it's like this constant discovery process for me, like finding your purpose. I think finding your purpose is kind of my purpose in a lot of ways, right? I think like, and that's just sort of me. Like I find things that I need to apply myself to, and I feel like I need to, but in order to be the dynamic kind of person that I feel like I am, I can't ever feel like that's it for me. Like I always got to be, I think the discovery of purpose is what makes me actually discover new things and chase down new experiences and open new doors and create new opportunities. I think if I ever felt like I found it and that was it, I'm not sure I'd ever have like the drive to keep looking for more things to apply myself to in the extent that I do. And also, I think like, you close yourself off to like these momentary purposes. Cause I think like your purpose in life changes, as you evolve, and based on the people you surround yourself with and the situations that you're in. I feel like it's a real dynamic situation,
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to like embrace the things that come along as like, this is my purpose, like at this moment in time and like in this part of my life. And, if you're waiting for the thing that you've kind of pre-created this notion of, or like this end state of, then it's kind of hard to let yourself take things as they come and embrace new things and find new situations. Cause maybe you're holding off for something that'll never happen. And like the thing that you're supposed to be doing is looking you right in the face and it's screaming at you and you're ignoring it because it's not what you thought it was,
Yeah. No, it's complicated for sure. For me, kind of piggybacking off of that, I agree. And I'm going to hear from you guys in just a second. I'll have a question. I think finding your purpose is an umbrella. And I think your purpose needs to be very large and overarching.
Yeah.
And then you can have different spokes underneath that purpose. Like Miles is talking about, he says the journey is the purpose, what you're doing at the moment, what you're doing in the moment, but where your feet are. I think that's part of it, but I personally believe there is a bigger purpose for everybody. And for me, I'll just give you guys an example. I believe, I to my core, I believe my purpose is helping others. And I know that can sound cliche or corny. And maybe we even say my purpose is educating others, but I think it's more than that. And what I really connect to what you said, if you attach your purpose to something too specific, and this is the wrong word for it, but I think you guys will know what I'm saying, something too small, you're doomed to have a lot of disappointment and failure and heartache in your life.
Yeah.
Where for me, my umbrella, my overarching purpose is to help people. I was first a coach, and I helped a lot of people with that. Coaching came and went. I still coach him, but you know what I mean. Coaching
Yep.
water polo, coaching swimming came and went. I was a teacher for 12 years. 12 years. That's a significant portion of anyone's life. That left. I'm still helping people. It's just a different day. It's just a different location where my feet are. But my purpose is the same. It's not reliant on my specific career. It's not reliant on my specific location, my specific mode. I don't care if it's in person, if it's over a mic and a video camera. My purpose is to help people. Now, of course, that trickles down to my family first and foremost, and then everywhere else from out there. But for me, the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is at times, just like anybody else, I get lost in the weeds. I get lost in my to-do list. I get lost in the crap that doesn't matter, the noise that's out there. And I had a good talk with Nick where I told him, like, the way I ground myself when I start to see myself like drifting a little bit is I dive into my purpose. And if I just tell myself, what am I doing today to help others? It's a selfish thing, but it makes me happy. It makes me fulfilled, and it drives me like crazy.
But it's like a selfish thing about like how do I make myself feel better? But then the answer is, how do I do something for other people? So it's a selfless way to be selfish. That's for damn sure.
Right. So challenge to you guys in the chat, and I would like it. We all know a lot of our purposes are family. We know that that's big. I want to set that aside for a second. I think that's kind of like Nick talked about. There's some things that are just intrinsic. We just have, they're just there. We know that's an anchor of our human society. It's biological. We're meant to have families. We're meant to reproduce, and we're meant to raise them. That's what we do. Outside of that, if you could in the chat, if you know your answer, if you don't, that's okay too. But if you know your answer, maybe summarize, and it can help some of us with some ideas. What do you think your overarching purpose is? What do you think your purpose? Because like some people might say it's to entertain others, because what is the greatest medicine on earth? Laughter. And so there's a lot of different things. I know helping others is an easy one, but I do believe that. I really genuinely believe I was meant to help others. And the mode in which I do that can be fluid and changing, but I don't think that aspect of me is ever going to change. And I do know there's a lot of people that weren't meant to help others, and that's great. We need a well-rounded, diverse society. So I would love to hear from you guys on that one, but do you get my umbrella reference there? Okay, cool.
Well, I totally get it, because I feel like if you were to put like an overarching thing across mine, and you were to kind of take everything I do and everything I find myself doing, and you kind of categorize it. And I like the idea of having, and I won't say it's a big target, right? Because I say it's a spectrum of things, right? So like if you have this big target, if you have like if it's a dartboard, right? And triple 20s are like the only thing you want to hit, it, like you say, you're going to have a lot of misses in the midst of all of that if you're too specific. But then, if the dartboard's your target, right, then you can hit just about anywhere you want and be good. But I think if you were to put something on mine that is like overarching, it's to put things out, it's to put things into the world that don't exist before I was here. And whether that's Jack, right, my son, whether that's things I create, if it's things I make, if it's concepts I put in the world, if it's architectures I build, if it's software I write, if it's art that I make, if it's music I make, if it's photos I take, if it's cars I build, all those things. I think my overarching thing is that like I need to put things into the world that weren't there before I touched them. And I think that's probably, if I had one thing, that's it.
That gave me goosebumps because I didn't know how to describe yours, right? For me, my first thought of you and your purpose is changing the lives of others, enriching the lives of others. But you're doing that even more so with what you said, right? The stuff that you put out there is changing lives, and it's so true. You're a creator through and through. I mean, everything you do is about creating. And that's freaking awesome. And if I can hit a couple comments here, some really
I
good
read
ones.
Jack's. I was like, whoa, good. Yeah. I even pointed to him when I wrote it. I was like, nice one, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got that started. You know that.
Yeah, I saw it.
Leo says, I'd say finding my purpose is urgent. I think I stepped away from things in retrospect that were my purpose, but I've been good at different things. I love that. I can totally understand that journey and the reflection. And then, yeah, here's Jack. And Jack is how old, Nick?
11.
Okay, 11 years old. You guys
about
saw
to be
him
12.
earlier?
I was just corrected. When you're 11, you're about to be 12. He's 12 next month.
Okay. Got it. And he says, I thought my purpose was to continue and help with my dad's company, but then I realized I haven't experienced in life enough to know what my purpose is.
Yeah,
That is so accurate.
couldn't be said better, man. Like that's
So
dead
profound.
on. You don't
if
decide what your purpose is yet. You
Yep.
keep it coming.
And if I can add one thing to that, Jack, it's not your dad's company. I would say it's your dad's legacy.
Yeah.
And you can continue that legacy, whether it's taking on Moonrock, whether it's taking on Dr. Nix, whether it's taking on something brand new that you create and enrich this world that I know you're going to do. You're going to continue that legacy. You don't need the roadmap yet. You don't need the blueprint. You don't need the plans. Those will come. Trust me, though, you're on the right track.
And just like it's like we've said on this before, the coloring book of success has no lines anymore, man. And you're starting off with a blank book.
Yep. And how amazing that there's not pressure to put those lines on him.
Oh, and it's like, that's what I tell him all the time. It's like, I want to do this. I want to do that forever. I want to do this forever. And it's like, well, dude, any one of those things you could literally do forever. Like, but you're going to find 100 more things that you can do forever. Like, don't decide yet. Thankfully, he has someone that is still obviously every day figuring out what he wants to be when he grows up. Right. So he has the best and the worst encouragement all at the same time.
The best role model. Right there. And JB, you have no idea how much this hits. Nick and I had a discussion before the stream, and this
literally minutes before the stream.
Minutes before the stream on almost this exact topic. JB says, I'm a pillar, just solid and strong for others. Nick and I talked about that. I think I used the word glue. That we're the glue for so many people in our lives. We fix so many problems. We help so many people. And as that pillar, you're not essentially looking for that support from anybody else. You take pride in being the pillar, in being the rock, and being solid. And I relate to that to my core.
And when you don't, man, is that a self chest check? You know what I mean? Yep. Like, and it's one of those weird things too, where I feel like it keeps us from straying too far down any bad paths, though, because it sure is it a lot of pressure. Yeah. Is it like a lot of extra stress that we probably wouldn't have if we were like the float around and do what other people do kind of people?
No doubt.
Sure. But I think interestingly enough, like, hey, I'm not scared to admit it. Right. Like I've made some missteps and I've gone down some paths that like months into those paths, I've been like, wait a minute. Like, that's not who I am. Like, that's not what everyone needs from me. And then I look at it, and it almost gives you one of those like self kind of like I said, that gives you like a check moment. You're like, wait a minute. Like, is this the best for like my family? Is this the best for my friends? Like, am I doing this because like I'm fulfilling my role here? Or is this like selfish, stupid, and not sustainable? You know what I mean? Like those kind of things, like they hit you pretty quick. And it's like it's a nice little, self-regulating system. You're like, because you're like, well, I'm not going to undo all my years of becoming who I am to these people. And I'm not going to do anything that jeopardizes that. So.
Yep. No doubt about it. Hey, Copper John says, love the topic, guys. Hope you're doing well. Thanks, man. Right back at you.
Heck yeah, man.
And I think, go ahead.
That's it. Hell, man, it's like but the cool part about that is like, you can safely know that like everyone around you is kind of in the self-discovery mode too. If they're people, right? So like, boom, right there, still searching. Like, dude, whether you found it, you're searching for the next one, whether you haven't found it and you're searching for the first one, like whatever it is, everyone is in this constant state. Like, for anyone to say that like they, I don't know, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe there are people out there who can safely say like, yep, I found it. This is it. Like, I'm doing it. I love it. And great. But I think like, I don't know, majority of us, even people who probably from the outside seem like they've found it, we're all still figuring it out. We're all still looking.
Yeah. And it's all,
and
like
it's
I said,
good.
like,
and you're looking how to fill it. Right.
Yep.
Like, do you ever stop one day and you're like, my purpose is helping people, and I've done that a lot, so I'm good?
No, it's not possible.
No.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
There's no finish line. There's no end point. There's no
goal. Summit. There's no balloons. There's no balloon drop and ribbons. Like, you did it. And like, what was funny is like,
right, I helped 10,000 people. Let's go. So like, you can't
done.
do that.
Like,
next chapter.
Yeah, no, it's not. Like I always envisioned it too. Like it's so funny. Like 'cause I guess I watched too much TV as in my 20s, I guess. I don't know. But like when I like would go and like I'd be like trying to like, get funding for like an idea of mine or go start a company or something that I was working on doing. And like I'd always have this thing built in my head, like, all right, like this is the one. I'm gonna walk out of this meeting and I'm gonna be like, I did it, you know. And like I had this thing for a long time where I kept getting disappointed because I never had the I did it moment. And I never had the like, hey, you did it. You did the thing that you've been working on towards doing. And then I realized that like I wasn't working towards a thing. I was working towards doing like a series of things over and over again. And then one of those things flopped like the first time. I had millions of dollars of other people's money invested in an idea, and it didn't work. And all those millions of dollars and years of time were gone, right? And I remember going to meet with the group of guys that were my investors at the time, who are still, by the way, my investors now. And I was like, oh man, I don't know what to say, like this and that, like I'm disappointed, like I'm embarrassed, this and that didn't work. And I remember one of the guys with a whole lot of commas in his bank account probably looked over at me, and he was like, wait, you didn't think this like first one was going to work, did you? You didn't think that we thought this first one was going to work, did you? And I'm like, well, why the hell would you invest in money? He's like, well, I thought maybe there's a chance it could work. They're like, to think that this one or even like the next four are going to be like the ones that work and not lose money. He's like, you're being unrealistic. He's like, when we invested in this first one, we invested you as a person that we wanted to invest in because we like the way your brain works and we like your ideas. They're like, we didn't think that this was going to be the first or the last or something like that. They're like, no, what do you want to go do next? And I'm like, so like I have another idea, but you guys will do it again. This last one flopped. And they're like I said, the first probably 4 or 5 are gonna, man. So stop holding yourself to that kind of standard. Let's go get what's next.
Wow.
And it's like,
wow.
Oh, okay, that's how this works. Like,
right,
got
man. And you said they're still around today?
They're the ones who my software company is funded by these exact same people, and it's going great. And they're like the faith and encouragement is like always there, and they're like pumped, to be able to transition from what they're doing to what I started here while they're doing that. So it's like, it's a I just didn't know that's how the world worked. You know what I mean? Like I thought there was always like this summit, like this moment like you see in movies or TV shows, but there's not. It's like literally the accomplishment is 1000% the journey. And it's not even like this cliche thing that's like the journey is the destination, but I mean, it is.
Right. No, a couple of thoughts on that. One, man, I talked about last night on my stream, being yourself, being able to surround yourself around humans you can be yourself around. That's even a level up. Like you can be yourself. They're encouraging you. Like those are people you hold on to at all costs.
You can fail, and it's okay to fail. That's natural. Failure is a natural part of success.
They said to you thought that, man, that gave me goosebumps. And then the second part is we all have those thresholds that we think change everything.
Yeah.
Right. As a content creator. Oh my gosh. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, the whole world's going to change. And then you realize it's just, you're still on your journey. You're still going. As a company, I can't tell you how many companies I've talked to that are like, once we get to $10,000 a month in sales, but then it just becomes $20,000 a month in sales. But then it just simply becomes $50,000 a month in sales. They never reach an actual finish line. They just move the bar every single time.
Right.
I've never had a company that's like, man, once we get to 10,000 sales, we're good. And then they're like, we did it again. We did it again. I'm so happy we keep hitting 10,000. We just want more. And if you focus on those results, you'll never actually reach your purpose.
No. And that's why I think, again, you got to quantify things in different sorts of, tangible buckets, because there are much different ways to measure your success than that one number. That's for damn sure.
Unbelievably true. And Leo, I can totally see this. He said, some have said I'm a sound post for what they're saying or doing.
Yeah. Well, the sounding board, man, that's the sounding. My sounding boards are some of the most important people in my lives, man. So don't take that as anything but like an absolute huge accomplishment. Like Dan's a huge sounding board in my life, and vice versa, and it's like, that's huge.
on
Don't take that as
everything.
anything but a compliment for sure.
Yep. And if people are comfortable telling you that, Leo, that's the utmost trust, right? There's things I tell Nick that I'm not comfortable telling anybody else because I know he is that sound post. So I love that. Love that. And Copper John says, we're constantly evolving, getting better. That is how life is supposed to happen. Our needs and desires change as we progress. Exactly. That's why you keep that overarching umbrella of your purpose, and you can be fluid underneath there. That's why the umbrella reference works so well, because you actually have fluid coming off of it. Like, yes.
Yeah. And for me, it's a framework, right? If you build too much of a structure and you put things in place ahead of time, you're bound for disappointment. But I feel like if you have those things filled with empty boxes that can hold multiple things, that's like you have placeholders for stuff, right? You got like this framework and it's got room for certain types of things that fit in it. I mean, that's your framework for success and happiness right there, not individual targets necessarily. Like my goals I have for myself are absolutely categorically based goals. Like they're not individual targets.
Yep. And it's easy to lose sight of that. Trust me, guys, I fully understand how difficult that is.
Yeah.
But that's quite literally why I wanted this topic today, because I got caught up in my own head and stuff. And what got me out of that was genuinely just reminding myself of my purpose.
Yep. That's all you got to do sometimes, man. You got to get the quick little reality check back of, oh, right. Okay. That's what I was doing.
That's why I'm doing this. Okay.
Right.
Got it. And Leo's right again. He says, remind me of a story of the man who was told with all the money invested in him for learning, it would be silly to fire him for a mistake.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's human capital, man. That's what that is.
Yep. And as long as the mistake wasn't too big, because
right.
there are some that can be. And so
you can make career limiting keystrokes at any level of the game.
Right. Don't do that.
Don't make any resume generating decisions along the way whenever possible.
Yeah. That's yep. Nope. I agree. That is a good lesson to have. So again, guys, just kind of on this topic here, I just wanted to kind of reflect on that. I just kind of wanted to make sure we weren't always getting caught up in the stuff that doesn't actually matter, that doesn't actually have this like big overarching difference. I mean, I'll give you guys another kind of reference. This week is the teacher's training to go back to school. And it's a weird,
dun, dun, dun,
but amazing feeling that I'm not doing that. I very much get judged by the teachers that are going back and they see me not doing that. There's a lot of hate that comes with that, but there's also a lot of what I would call like perceived fear or implied fear.
Just put those hater blockers on, man.
And I do fully. I do. But there's a lot of perceived fear where these teachers see what I'm doing now and how it's so different and so outside of the box. Their minds get like melted with fear of that. And I really believe as long as you're chasing your passion and as long as you're chasing your purpose, you're going to find a way to make it work. If you're skilled, if you're driven, you're going to find a way to make it work. And I see how that fear captivates people and how it stops so many people from doing so many things. And it really is like a fortress for happiness. And they're not allowed to go in and actually see that you can be happy, that you can. I said it last night too. Every day is a weekend when you enjoy what you do. You know, Nick and I are no different than anybody with the stressors in our life. We have a lot of them, but zero of them are related to our purpose and really what we do. You know, you're not going to hear Nick having like a huge, terrible day because of something with Dr. Nick's or a huge, terrible day with something with his cybersecurity. It's all the other stuff. It's all the other stuff that puts that on us. Not everybody can say that, and I feel for that genuinely and wholeheartedly. But going after that passion, going after that purpose, it's never too late and you're never too old for it. I'm so freaking sick of hearing people talk about, well, I've only got 10 more years left of that. You're throwing away 10 years? Like, I'm so sick of that. And I understand it, but I'm someone that's lived, you know, taking a step on the other side. You can change that purpose at any time. You can go on a different path at any time.
And
Just
tomorrow
something
is not
to consider.
guaranteed to anyone. So, like, why are you going to say, like, oh, I'll do this for another 10 years? You don't even know if
Right.
you're going to make it through that 10 years.
Right. And we've all seen examples of that. And shout out to Michael. He said, been listening at work. Great show and topic, guys. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Next week will be a little bit more free, a little bit more lighthearted. We're essentially going to do like a community check-in and have you guys fill the show with questions, whether it's questions about us personally, whether it's beard questions, whether it's beard company questions. We'll get some humor and stuff. Today's more that kind of like, hey, let's check in with each other. Let's inspire and kind of go from there.
Dude, you know what's funny too is we're going to catch me right in the middle of a whirlwind next week too, because we're getting back Monday evening, and then I have one of my closest friends and other business partners coming in to stay with us Tuesday night after the stream.
Oh my gosh.
We're gone from Thursday to Monday, get home Monday night, do laundry real quick, get fired back up on Dr. Nick's, do the live stream, and then have my friend, his wife, and their son showing up to stay in our guest room on Tuesday, and then they're taking off for the airport on Wednesday.
After a week of having a guest.
After having Alicia here for a week and then having 2 nights to get ready, pack up, and take off to go to Tennessee. So it's like, you guys are going to catch me next week, and I'm going to be like, hi, I'm Dr. Nick. Ask me anything.
Nick, blink twice. But then Jack goes back to school.
Yep.
Because there's a thing about summer that I don't think ever gets really talked about. As a parent, you love summer. You love having that time with your kid. It's amazing. But you do feel pressure with packing in as much as you can with the memories and the experiences, which are amazing.
Jill, you hearing this? Jill?
Which are amazing. But that pressure is pressure. You know, that pressure does make it complicated. And what happens? You start looking at the calendar and you see there's 3 weeks left of summer. And you're like, oh my gosh, we didn't do that. We need to get that in. And it really kind of dumps on you. And especially if you're the rock and the pillar and you got to hold it together with the glue, that does get tough. So after that, I bet there's a big kind of release and relief, and then on to the next challenge. Will come from there.
Yeah, man. Something that I did want to throw out there real quick too. I didn't know if we were going to be able to sneak it in. Just last couple minute things. For those of you who like the stuff from Jacked Up Leatherworks, from Jacob here in the chat. I don't know if it's on Instagram. I think it's on Instagram. He has like a raffle going on for some stuff. So if you guys have liked anything that he's done and like the catch-alls and that kind of stuff that he's done for Dr. Nick's, you might want to give a look over at his Instagram, because I do believe he's got something going on over there for a raffle.
Okay, I got it pinned, linked in the chat, you guys. You can check that out over here. And great dude. And you know he's done some work. He even made a little custom hat for himself of this Dr. Nick's leather logo.
Heck yeah, he did. So yeah, he's loving it, man. So like he's always making cool stuff. We're always down to support you, Jacob, whatever you got going on, man. So shoot it over. We'll always broadcast it for you and help make sure that we get it, get people's eyes on over on you.
Yep, no doubt. And then were there any other things there for last minute housekeeping? No,
I think that's it, man. It's like, holy crap. I'm going to jump back into the madness here and, keep it rolling. I'm going to be, Alicia, of course, brought her a tiny, adorable little girl of a French bulldog with her. Madame Rue came up and was hanging out with Sir. So they're now best friends. So Sir's going to be lonely. And now I got this little pig that I'm going to be getting updates from, getting photos from, and I'm going to miss her while she's gone now too. So I get to miss Alicia and Rue, but that's okay. I got Jack here to keep me company. And a whirlwind shall ensue as soon as I drop off of here. And I will see you guys on the other side. Wish me luck for both my sanity and the color of my beard. Hopefully I don't come back with just a straight white beard after this week. So,
hey, give Julie a big hug for me. I've never actually officially met her, but I feel like I'm her adopted grandson.
Yep.
And not even son. I'm like younger than that. I'm like Jack's level. Like I feel like she's my like grandma that I was never close to my grandparents.
You'll be able to you'll just like every one of my other close friends does.
Perfect.
everyone else that's on here that's known me for a long time, they just end up calling Julie mom, and that's just normal.
I had a good she said, I'll include you. Thank you. You don't know that hole that's the void in my life. So
That's it.
appreciated, mom. And Leo, thank you, man. He said, valuable episode today. Thank you both.
Heck yeah, man. Leo, I'm glad it was, dude. It was for me as well. That's for sure. It definitely was a much needed reflection moment. So thank you guys as always for that.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up. We'll be here next week on Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern on the Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff YouTube channel. Until then, have a great week